Tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
Foxy, I love the baby. I love the baby. I love her. I love her.